Hello there. In this previous video, I mentioned about session affinity, which actually I'm not planning to explain it, but yeah, I just explain it anyway because for the sake of the completeness of my video. So, what is a session affinity? This actually kind of important for your internal TCP IP load balancer. So session affinity is the thing that can control your distribution of your new connection from the client to the load balancer backend VM. You have to set the affinity when your backend VM needs to keep track of the state information for the clients when sending TCP traffic. It's kind of common for web application. Let's say that you wanna your web application can have a lot of web services, and you want to track if the user uses this web service, let's say web service A, and you want to keep track of the state. You want to keep the state of which web service the client are using. So you need to set this affinity option. So the affinity option has support for this particular things. What things to track with the affinity option. The first one is none. Yeah, obviously. This is the default setting, which basically it tracks nothing. It's basically the same as client IP protocol imports, and the next thing is client IP. So it will direct a particular client request to the same backend VM based on the hash that created by the client IP address and the load balancer IP address. And the next thing is it can also track client IP and protocol. Let's say that it will direct a particular client's request to the same backend VM based on a hash created by three pieces of information, which is the client IP itself, and the protocol, and the load balancer protocol, and the last one is the load balancer internal forwarding rules IP address. And the next thing is it can also track client IP, protocol, and its port. So it will direct a particular client request to the same backend VM based on that's created by this 5 pieces of information, with this source IP address of the client which is sending the request, and the second is source port of the client that's sending the request, and the third one is load balancer forwarding rules internal IP address. Basically, it's the first three pieces of information is like the same from the client IP and protocol, and the third one and the fourth one is the information needed for the track is the destination port from which service is kind of which service requested, yeah, and the last one is the protocol that being used by the service. Okay, that's just basically 4 part of the things that session affinity can track. And the last one is that the session affinity on health check. The changing of the state of the backend VMs can cause loss of session affinity. Like, for example, if a backend VMs become unhealthy, let's say that particular user that being tracked of their their session is, let's say, in the VMA, and because of a lot of traffic, then the VM become unhealthy. Let's say that the rule you define is the CPU usage above 80%, and then there's at least one other healthy VM, backend VM, and when that happens, an internal load balancer will not distribute the connection to the unhealthy, right? So if a client had the session affinity with that unhealthy VM, which I mentioned earlier, it will direct to another healthy VM. So let's say uh, the session, the client is connected to VMA, which is become unhealthy, but at that point that VM is being tracked, that session affinity is track the session from the client to the VMA, and then the client is requested new connection. Let's say it's requesting other services, but and of course the connection isn't going to direct it to the unhealthy VM based on the health check rules, so it will direct it to the other VM that are healthy. And because of that, the session affinity that previously tracked the client to the VMA is lost, because the new client, because the client is going to use the VM, let's say VMB, that's healthy. So yes, this is something that you should know when you are using session affinity. So that's basically everything that I want to talk about session affinity. So goodbye.